if we choose the shape of our standard rebar, we'll find that it has the properties of the rebar special data. And rebar special data itself will find that the first property is start hook length. Now, hook length, this allows us to change the value of the hooks for the shape or the one in front of me. So right now it's set to 100, but if I enter, for example, 300, I'll find that the start hook is set to 300, and the end hook, I can also change it to the same number. So from here, I can adjust the start hook and end hook that I have. Can I change the start hook and end hook for all the shapes or the shape codes we have in the standard? Of course not. It's the same case as the cover, where I couldn't change the start and end offset for every carpet. Similarly, I can't change the start hook and end hook for every shape code. This is because in shape code, there are no hooks at all, similar to our famous shape, which is the number 12. So this one doesn't have any hooks, therefore the numbers I enter for the hooks don't work for this shape because they have no effect. But the opposite is true for the start offset and end offset, because they actually change my shape. So this varies from one specific shape code to another. Now I know when exactly do I use the start hook and when do I use the end hook. After that, I have the value of the shape or the shape that I'm working with. So now if we go back to the well-known shape, which is number 51, which represents the stirrup, and made calculate dimension from grip by yes, it means that if I move my element, my shape will start to change itself according to what I input. If I change this mode to no, it essentially means that if I enter this value, for example, as 1,000, and then enter that as 1,000 as well. So in this particular case, I'm really not committed to my own. As you can see now, when we move the grip for the height and move the grip, the dimensions don't change. But of course, if I change the angle, it changes the orientation of the word, but it doesn't change its dimensions. So as a result, the word is no longer attached to the concrete that I'm talking about, but it entered by dimensions according to what I entered earlier. So right now I entered a value of 1,000 by 1,000. Of course, this 1,000 refers to the dimensions of the virtual concrete, which represent the points that we see in front of us here. So this 1,000 is the distance between this point. And this point, we'll find that it's 1,000, or the point down here. And the point up here, we'll see that it is indeed 1,000. So it's as if I've created my own concrete. Of course, if I set my cover to 0, for example, then we'll find that our rebar is actually anchored at all these points. All right, let's try entering a value of 500 for my cover, for example. At that point, we'll find that this makes the B equal to 500, and this one is 1,000. Then we'll see that our height has decreased and our width is the 1,000. Of course, this goes up to F depending on what we're working on. So if we're working with a shape code like this one, for example, we'll find that we're dealing with more than one dimension. We're working with A, B, C, D, and E. So in order to enter A, B, C, D, and E, at that point we can make use of the display option, go and activate the display, and instead of just showing me one dimension, we can increase the text size here to say 50. And instead of working with dimensions, I can switch to alphabetic annotation. So it will write the letters on each of the ones in front of me. At that point, this one, let's say the E to enter it, it's now 88. Yeah, we'll just change it and set it to no. Then when we come to change the value of A, let's say we want to make it 200, we'll find that A has become 200. The B 620, no, let's make it, for example, 800. We'll find that B's height has become 800. And C, for example, is set to 300, 350. Let's make it, say, 400. So C has increased. The E is 88. Let's make it 100 since A is increasing. Let's make it 200 and so on. So we can control the dimensions of our bar. If we're running the mode that is, don't calculate from grips. If we set this mode to yes, it will go back to sticking to my grips. At that point, when I move these grips, my shape gets stretched out and elongated according to the location of the grips I'm working with, and it starts to be affected by the cover value that I've entered.